second cousins. It's Kyle here. Happy to be joined by second cousin Erich, who will introduce in just a second. We're here to talk about the Orlando Magic's loss to the Atlanta Hawks, 112-106. Erich, if I told you Paolo scores 31, Franz scores 37, we shoot 40% from three, and we lose the game to the Atlanta Hawks, you would probably think I'm crazy. We were up by 7 at the half on this one and just lose it in the second half. I mean, I was trying to figure out where this game went wrong, man, and it was pretty even across the board. The only thing that I can point to, and maybe it's pretty clear to you already, second cousins, is bench points. We lose bench points 54-26. Our two stars combined for 68, but it was a desert all around that. And we just had some bad shot making at the end, and we lose the game. What was the biggest kind of standout reason as to why we dropped this one for you, Erich?
I thought like our defensive intensity was pretty good, but then it definitely waned at times. I felt like we weren't consistent. We definitely had a lot of defensive lapses. Because I felt like, yeah, the offense was on, but we just kept giving them free points like turnovers. And then just like not paying attention. Like, Paolo, I think on one play in the third, kind of celebrated for a second, and then somebody I can't remember who it was Dyson Daniels or whatever, got behind the defense and scored a bucket. So it's like it just kind of negated the whole thing.
Yeah, you bringing up turnovers. I mean, 18 turnovers for 20 points. That definitely stood out as a glaring thing to me, but I think the Hawks had 17 turnovers for 20 points as well. So when I kind of tried to figure out exactly where it went wrong, I kind of scratched that out. But we can't turn over the ball like that. I think 14 turnovers is like, if we go above that, we lose the game. And to your point with just kind of the lapses, I looked at the play-by-play at the end. With 6 minutes left, this game is tied. And then we just give an easy Swiss cheese defense layup to Trae Young. He just gets right into the paint, easy layup. Paolo misses. Then Trae hits that like deep 30-foot three from almost the logo. Then AB misses a bad hook shot at the end of the shot clock. Franz has a steal and Paolo gets a layup, very nice, but then Franz misses, Paolo misses. Trae, another easy layup in the lane, and now we're down by 5 with 3 minutes, and everything had just kind of shifted. And yeah, 3 minutes is enough time to come back, but just with the really, I don't know, like our feet was in mud on the offensive side, especially at the end, there was no type of set play, it didn't look like. It was just like, hey, give it to Paolo, give it to Franz. They're going to try to dribble, and then it was a bad shot, and it was a tough shot, and the shots weren't falling for those guys, and we lose the game.
Yep, that's pretty much what I saw as well.
I mean, I don't know about this. Like we lost to a bunch of guys who I'd never really even heard of. Of course, I've heard of Larry Nance. He went out. Hope he's feeling well. That didn't look great on his knee. And Dyson Daniels has been playing well for them. They got Terrence Mann. That's a nice pickup for them. But other than that, like these guys were sellers at the trade deadline. They got rid of Bogdanovich. They got rid of DeAndre Hunter. And so we're playing Trae Young. We held him to 18 points, and we lose. We were playing a gentleman, their center, last name spelled Gueye, pronounced gay. Pronounced gay. I mean, this guy is Senegalese, and thankfully he didn't go to middle school in the United States because it would have been horrible for him. He didn't come over and start playing in the U.S. till high school. But yeah, I mean, Guey gay. I mean, it got me thinking of Frank's Gay Services. And I was like, man, this guy is doing gay services all over us tonight. I had to bring that in. We've often mused about what are the services that Frank offers.
Oh, man. Yeah. Something for me was, I think what kind of has been pissing me off about Paolo lately is he makes, a couple of shots in a row, and then he just kind of keeps going back and back and back to the well, and they just never mixes it up. Like he'll go, he'll never, I think that basically the defense knows that once he makes a couple shots in a row, he's going to keep going back to that and keep doing isolation plays until it's just not working for him anymore. And I feel like they're almost wasted possessions because we're not like moving the ball and we're not really giving the defense anything to work for.
Yeah, I mean it's a great point. Like Paulo hasn't looked right. If we're being honest and we're drinking the honest tea here, you give me the truth serum. He hasn't looked like the same guy that we know, that all-star caliber player in the first 5 games, or who ended that Cavaliers series on a tear last year. You know, 31 points is great in the box score, but still the handle looks a little loose, and he was minus 19, Eric. So I know that's not all on him, but that is an indication that things aren't flowing that well around him when he's out there. Franz was just an even 0, but yeah, Paulo Banchero, our franchise cornerstone, one of them, minus 19 in this game. And we hold their all-star to 18 points. You think 19. If Trae Young scores 19 and our guys score 68, we've got to win this game, and somehow we don't. It's more fuel to the fire for the, hey, Weltman, what the hell were you doing at the trade deadline? Like, we clearly needed something to mix it up. The mojo isn't great right now. As you said, the ball is sticking. Nothing's flowing. Maybe getting a different guy with a different play style in here helps it out. I'll ask you, because I haven't touched base with you really since the trade deadline, but, I mean, is a game like this kind of adding to that for you?
Yeah, definitely. I understand to some degree, because Wendell's contract, he can't be traded until the offseason.
Right.
So my guess is Weltman felt like he really needed that trade piece in order to, swing big and maybe the asking price for some of the other players we could have gotten, which I was definitely on board for Cam Johnson, maybe even like a Kobe White or something like that. But I'll bring this up, but I think, and I think we've talked about this before, I feel like it's the best way to design a team is to have 2 max players and then just a lot of high-level role players around that, rather than trying to do 3 max and then having, killing your depth. But the one person I might consider swinging for the fences is Devin Booker, actually.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the white whale for me as well. He kind of solves everything that you need, and you feel like that triumvirate would be awesome. And since you have so many guys that you've drafted and you have bird rights for, you could go deep into the aprons to re-sign them, but you wouldn't be able to do anything off of that. But if you had Booker, Paulo and Franz, you feel like that is the championship team. And maybe that swing wasn't available and that wasn't happening this time around. So I guess I get it. But he just thought maybe he'd do something to switch up the mojo. And another guy, Eric, that has been on
who are you going for?
Well, that would be my target. I just wanted to see something. And I talked about this in the last episode. I wanted to see something on the peripheral. If you weren't going to make the big all-in move, okay. But we saw like Bogdan, who used to be on this team, get moved for a couple seconds and he got bounced around. Dennis Schroeder got moved for a couple seconds. You could have signed him in the offseason, which I wanted. Just little guys like this. I think is it Verjao? Not Anderson. Not Anderson. Oh, wow, Anderson Verjao. That's a throwback. Who's the big Serbian who played for New Orleans? He played for New Orleans, the center. I can't. There was just small little moves. Valanciunas, like little things like that. And if the Lakers were that desperate for a big, they were taking Mark Williams, and that didn't even go through because he's so injury prone. Were we saying like, hey, here's a Goga Batadze? Are you really giving up Dalton Connect for Goga Batadze? Like, if they were that desperate for a big, and the knock on Weltman is he hasn't been picking up his phone, he hasn't really been searching. Like, man, you got to know that. You got to see blood in the water with the Lakers. They just got Luka. They're desperate for a big man. Hey, I know we can't trade Wendell. I don't think we could trade Jonathan Isaac either. I'm not sure on that. Was it because of his extension as well? He wasn't trade eligible?
I'm not 100% on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean maybe it is, but if that's the case, then you just put, furry handcuffs on yourself. These are self-imposed handcuffs that you put on yourself. Maybe not furry handcuffs. That's a little kinky. And I don't know if Weltman gets down like that. But another guy that
Those are
people
the quiet ones.
yeah, that's true. That's true. He might be a freak in the sheets. Let me not trample on your game, Weltman. But yeah, I was just looking for something to shake it up because if the vibes are high, okay, let's not mess with the team. But the vibes are low, and we kind of know what the end of bench guys. If Jet Howard isn't going to play on this team, please God, get something for him before his value has absolutely cratered. There's probably going to be a team out there that would have been like, yeah, let's take a number 11 pick, Jet Howard. He might do something. We'll give you a couple seconds or something for him. Just to mix it up. If we're not going to use these guys, we kind of know what they are. I'm sick of the evaluation phase. Let's do something. That was my beef. I didn't need a huge move. I didn't want a chips all in move, but something like that. And Erich, what do you think about the guy that we saw tonight? Because a lot of Magic fans are talking about him in Trae Young. When they showed him before the game, he was kind of looking around the arena whimsically, like taking it in. Hey, this could be my home. And he was talking about Paolo and Franz glowingly in the post-game interviews that those guys are beasts. They keep getting better. Yeah, they're going to be a force. And he was really, making sure he was doing the interview well. I don't know if I'm convinced. What would you think about a Trae Young? Is that a guy that you'd want to see in a Magic uniform, Erich?
I don't know. My biggest hesitation with him is just going to be his lack of defense and the fact that he does have like a high usage rate. So I worry that he's going to take too many touches away from Paulo and Franz, even though he's a very good distributor, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's kind of why I like Devin Booker more because he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands to be effective. He's good at defense. We're not taking anything away by putting him in the starting lineup versus if we get Trae Young, then we're going to be taking away from defense. And I don't know that I want to sacrifice that, although the defense has been, a little bit subpar lately. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Erich, I love you. I'm sick of the damn defense. Give me a guy who could score a freaking bucket. I mean, we've got like a top 5 defense right now in the league, like depending on the metrics that you're looking at, top 3, and we still can't win a damn game. I know defense wins championships and all that, but Jesus, Ken Weltman, can we please have some guys that can do something on the offensive end? Because Paulo and Franz were just left holding the rock. They couldn't get it off. Nobody else was trying to do anything tonight. And while I don't like Trae because of the turnover, and I think he's kind of a streaky player, I don't really love the fit. I hope that's not the guy that Weltman goes all in for. Something like that would be nice. And it is a little bit attractive to think about a guy that the defenses would have to guard all the way out to the frickin' logo and imagine the space that would open up. Because right now, defenses are collapsing. They're challenging us to shoot threes, and we're missing them. I mean, even a game tonight when we made 40%, we couldn't win the game because there was a hockey player on the other side, Krejci, that was killing us. I didn't know he took some time off from the ice and he came and he whooped our ass on the court. I hope his back is okay, man. That was a brutal hit, but hockey players are tough, so I'm sure Krejci will bounce right back.
Yeah, that was a wicked fall. Like I felt really bad for him.
Yeah, that was back to back. Nance got his knee like hyperextended in that kind of ACL, MCL.
Ankle.
Yeah, and his ankle rolled. It was just not looking good. And then the next play almost, Krejci just gets wrecked. Yeah, man. I mean, some people were being critical of Coach Mosley's decision not to bring Goga back in or Cole back in. I think that's kind of nothing. They left midway through the third. Cole was turning the ball over. He wasn't really giving me much. Goga was playing solidly on the defensive side. He had 4 blocks, but he wasn't rebounding the ball as much as he normally has. Goga hasn't seemed to have that same juice and that same fire since he started, since he took over that starting role. Maybe kind of all these games now being in that starting role, it's starting to wear. It's looking like he doesn't seem to have that same juice. I don't know. Are you perceiving that, Eric? Are you not seeing that same Goga I'm used to?
No, 100%. I was actually going to bring this up too. Yeah, he just does not seem like the same person. I mean, he's almost invisible on offense, where he's usually catching lobs or getting offensive rebounds and just laying it in.
Mhm.
And he's just not doing any of that lately. But he's also not getting the ball that much either. So I don't know if he's just not being involved on the offense as much, if that's the issue, or if it's just him. But it does seem like his energy is a little bit lower than what we're used to.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg situation. It's like the ball is not moving because Paulo and Franz are the only ones scoring. But then when other guys get the ball, they haven't touched it, so they don't score. So Paulo and Franz feel like they need to score more and don't move the rock. And it just seems like no one else is very
Exactly.
involved on the offensive side, and it's very stagnant and it's very stale. And we need an offensive coordinator extremely bad. Nate, was it Nate Tibbetts who was used to be our offensive coordinator essentially? And he
Yep.
left to go coach the WNBA team. I mean, we need that guy back badly, or someone who can fill into that role, because, I mean, scoring 112 points is like our high, and that's not going to cut it in the NBA to get wins. It's just we need to score more.
Yeah, the offense just feels kind of aimless, at times, and it is very frustrating. Um, I felt like the first couple of years of this team, like there was a lot more ball movement,
Mm-hmm.
and for whatever reason, we've kind of gotten away from that. I don't know if it's just because Paulo's playing a lot more iso ball than he did like his first couple seasons, but yeah, just something's just not right. Or like I said, like we just miss Nate Tibbetts a lot more than we thought.
Yeah. Yeah, something definitely needs to change, and I hope to heck it changes before March 29th, when me and Jason the Peach will be down in Orlando, Florida to watch our Orlando Magic take on the Sacramento Kings. It's a Saturday game. We're going to hang out before. We're going to do tons of giveaways. We're all going to sit together. I think we're in section 109. Peach and I have our seats. The first 5 people to get through the ticket link in the description get entered into a special raffle for a Apollo jersey. So we hope to see you all there. I mean, we've got one more game here, Eric, before the All-Star break. So we've got
Mhm.
the Hornets tomorrow, and then we got the All-Star break. And I think we need that break more than anybody. Paulo's already said he's going to be focusing on getting into shape, and maybe that's it. Maybe he's a little gassed during these games. But then when we come back, we got to get some wins, man, because with this loss to the Hawks, they jumped us in the standings. So we are now 9th place in the standings. We are currently 3 games ahead of the Bulls, so we're pretty secure in that play-in. But for a team that had the expectation, the self-imposed expectation of a top 4 team in the East, boy, we have fallen from that, man. What do you think about our chances of getting back into the mix?
I think I think there's a decent chance that we'll get back to 6th, but I don't think we'll get any higher than that, unless some kind of miracle happens where we win most of our games and Pacers and Bucks just start losing all of a sudden. Um, but I mean, I, it's going to be great after the All Star break because I'm assuming that Jalen Suggs is going to be back. I feel like he should have been back already, but they're probably just trying to give him some extra rest because they're like, why bring him back for 2 games? Just let him have another, week and a half of rest. But we miss his energy. We miss Mo's energy. Like to me, they are the 2 most important players in terms of energy. And without at least one of them on the court, we really, really suffer.
Yeah, I need to issue an apology to Moritz Wagner. I really did not realize how vitally important he is to this team. But you're absolutely right. Those guys, those are the juice guys. Those are the dogs, and we are desperately missing them. You're the medical guy, but a quad contusion. I thought that was a contusion was a synonym for a bruise, and must be the
It is.
worst bruise in the history of bruises, because damn, this man, it's like it must be like a banana situation. Like when you have that banana that's sitting out there and it gets bruised and you're like, nah, I don't want to eat that, and it just gets worse over time, and then you just eventually have to throw it out. Hopefully that
Yep.
metaphor doesn't continue for Jalen. I want him on the team. But we need him right, and hopefully he does get right, and this team gets right for after the All-Star break and for when we are down in March. Eric, thanks so much for joining on this with me, man. Even through the technical difficulties, we persevered, buddy. And we'll
Yeah,
do it
we did.
again. We'll figure it out. We'll do it again, man. It's good to see you.
Good
Second
to see you too,
cousins,
man.
thanks very much. Peace out.